Dear students and all the viewers, I am Dr. P.K. Verma. Today I shall discuss about peptide bond formation, polypeptides and proteins. In the last session, I had discussed amino acids and their properties. Now, these amino acids are used as units of proteins that become linked together covalently by a bond called peptide bond. The peptide bond develops between carboxyl group of the first amino acid and amino group of the next amino acid. And in this way, a molecule called peptide is formed. When two amino acids are attached together, it is called dipeptide. When three are attached, it is called tripeptide, and so on. In this way, a chain with up to 10 amino acids is called oligopeptide, and all longer chains are polypeptides. The term protein can be used for all polypeptides and molecules containing one or more polypeptides. It seems that in a peptide bond, there is a single bond between carbon and nitrogen. But due to resonance of electron from oxygen to nitrogen, it has double bond characteristics. Therefore, all the atoms are frozen at fixed angles known as Ramachandran's angle, after name of the Indian scientist G. N. Ramachandran. He studied resonance spectrum of polypeptides. Ramachandran is Gopal Samudram Narayana Iyer Ramachandran. See this diagram. There is an amino acid with R1 alkyl group. Another amino acid has R2 alkyl group. Now this one is the carboxyl group and this one is the amino group. So these carboxyl and amino group will condense together, releasing water molecule, and a double bond, peptide bond, is created here. In the diagram, you see there is a single bond between carbon and nitrogen, but due to resonance from oxygen, a double bond is created at this place. See this figure, how the resonance occurs. The single bond characteristic converts into double bond characteristics. Ramachandran described phi and psi torsion. Torsion angles are dihedral angles which are defined by 4 points in space. In proteins, the two torsion angles phi and psi describe rotation of polypeptide chain around the two bonds in both sides of alpha carbon. See the position of this bond. Carbon, alpha carbon is the carbon on which the alkyl group is attached. Now here is the phi bond, and in another case it is the psi bond. So phi and psi, these are two rotational angles around the alpha carbon. Ramachandran described these angles, also measured the angles, and you can see how these angles are made: 111 degree, 116 degree, 120 degree, 124 degree. This all together is 360 degree. The distance of the bonds also have been measured in between carbon and nitrogen, as well as in between two carbon atoms. Now let us study a structure of proteins. From the level of their synthesis to their final functional form, there is a gradual development of complexity of a structure. On this basis, the polypeptides have been classified as primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary, and sometimes quaternary structures. These have been discussed in the following slides. These are the four important structures. The primary structure having a chain of amino acids. In secondary structure, alpha helix or beta pleated sheets are formed. In tertiary structure, a three-dimensional folding occurs. In quaternary structure, more than one polypeptides become attached together by non-covalent bonds. Now, what is the primary structure? All polypeptides are synthesized as straight, unbranched chains of amino acids having only the peptide bonds in between every two amino acids. Only three atoms N, C, C of each amino acid form the axis, and alkyl groups form the side chains in each amino acid. Thus, the polypeptide chains have only two ends. One is amino terminal or N terminal, and another is carboxyl terminal or C terminal. This is the simplified structure in which four amino acids are attached together. It is more simplified in this case. Here you can see how the 6 amino acids are attached together, and the vertical lines show the attachment of 2 amino acids, that is the point where peptide bonds have been formed. You can see 3 atoms NCC, NCC, NCC of each polypeptide, each amino acid in the polypeptide. It begins with nitrogen terminal, that is amino terminal, and it overs with the carboxyl terminal or the C terminal. Now, what is secondary structure? Inside endoplasmic reticulum or in the cytoplasm, the first order of change in protein structure is called secondary structure. An important property of the secondary structure is that the structure can be explained geometrically. The most common structure is the formation of alpha helix, which are the right-handed helix of the polypeptide. In alpha helix, hydrogen bonds develop between amino and carboxyl groups, and the two stable forms involving 13 atoms of 3.6 amino acids are found. They have angular deviation 100 degree and pitch length about 5.4 angstrom. The phi angle is minus 60 degree and psi minus 45 degree, that falls within the fully allowed region of Ramachandran diagram. Now you can see how the alpha helix is formed. Single turn contains 5.4 angstrom length and 3.6 amino acids have been involved. On the chain there are only 13 atoms. 3 atoms of the 3 amino acids NCC, 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 and 2 atoms of the first 2 atoms of the 5th amino acid. Thus there are total 13 atoms in a complete turn of polypeptide. This is the polar view of polypeptide, how they bend around an axis. A more tight bond involving 2.6 amino acids comprising 10 atoms, or a more loose bond involving 4.6 amino acids or 16 atoms also can be formed, but these are formed in a small fractions only. There are a few more deviations in the helix structure as shown in the following diagram. In this table, one is alpha helix, number of residues per turn is 3.6, pitch length is 5.4 angstrom, radius of helix is 2.3 angstrom, and rise per residue is 1.5 angstrom. There is 10 helix, that means number of residues is 3. The number of atoms involved are 10. The pitch length is 5.8 angstrom, radius of helix 1.9 angstrom, and rise per residue 2 angstrom. Another is 2.2 ribbon having 7 atoms in a circle. That means the number of amino acid is 2.2 per turn, pitch length is 6 angstrom, and rise per residue is 2.72 angstrom. There are pi helix also involving 4.4 amino acids with pitch length 5.2 angstrom, radius is 4.8 angstrom, and rise per residue is only 1.1 angstrom. So there are so many modified forms, so many deviated forms of the secondary structure formation, but alpha helix is the most common one. There are some insoluble scleroproteins in which secondary structure forms parallel or anti-parallel pleated sheets. In beta keratin of hairs, nails and hooves, there are many tightly packed parallel chains. Sericin and silk fibroin have anti-parallel chains, and these arrangements, parallel and anti-parallels, have been shown in the following diagram. You can see how the sheets are formed. This is the beta pleated sheet, and The pattern of folding is parallel to each other. Now see this arrangement. It is the parallel arrangement of beta chain. The positions of all R groups in one chain tally with the positions of another R group in the other chain. This is the anti-parallel structure where the positions become altered to each other. The bond length is shorter than the parallel chains. The length is only 2.76 angstrom. Proline and glycine are sometimes known as helix breaker because they disrupt the regularity of alpha helical backbone conformation. However, both have unusual conformational ability and are commonly found in turns. Amino acids that prefer to adopt helical conformations in protein include methionine, alanine, leucine, glutamic acid, and lysine. Abbreviation may be made as MALIC, M for methionine, A for alanine, L for leucine, E for glutamic acid, and K for lysine. MALIC are the methionine, alanine, leucine, glutamic acid, and lysine. For glutamic acid and lysine, the one-letter codon E and K has been used. By contrast, the large aromatic residues such as found in the tryptophan, tyrosine, and phenylalanine and the C-beta branched amino acids isoleucine, valine, and threonine prefer to adopt beta strand for conformation. However, these preferences are not strong enough to produce a reliable method of prediction of the secondary structure from sequence alone. In the tertiary structure, in addition to peptide bonds, some additional bonds are formed. The structure becomes irregularly folded because of ionic interaction between the polar groups and the hydrophobic bonds between the nonpolar alkyl groups. The molecular folding depends on the distance between bond-forming amino acids and the size and shape of alkyl groups present within folded region. Though the tertiary structure is geometrically irregular, these shapes are irregular in viewing from any angle because of formation of the ionic interaction as well as hydrophobic bonds, but because every polypeptide has a definite sequence of amino acids, they always form the same geometrical shape, same irregular geometrical shape, and therefore for every polypeptide the tertiary structure also is fixed. It cannot change times and again. In two different parts of protein, two different patterns of folding may be present, forming two different domains. Each domain has different biological function. The biochemical activities of different proteins are due to these specific domains. All enzymes, antibodies, receptors, etc. need a proper secondary and tertiary structure. Now see how many forces are there to stabilize tertiary structure. One is hydrophobic interaction. It is attraction between monopolar alkyl group and aromatic groups from nonpolar centers, that is repelled by water. R interacts with R dash. Hydrophilic interactions between polar or ionized alkyl groups and water on the surface of tertiary structure of protein. The third one is salt bridge. It is ionic interaction between polar groups of acidic and basic amino acids. Carboxyl with negative charge and amino with positive charge interact with each other. Fourth bond is the hydrogen bond. It is a semi-electrovalent bond between carbonyl group of the carboxyl group and the amino group of two amino acids, normally every fifth amino acid. First with fifth, second with sixth, third with seventh, fourth with eighth, fifth with ninth, and so on. Now the last and very strong bond is disulfide bridge. It is a strong covalent bond between sulfur atoms of two cysteine amino acids. The bond between two sulfur atoms is more stronger than bond between two oxygen atoms. This is a hypothetical structure of polypeptide shown ribbon-like, painted green, and the different types of bonds are shown. One is the metal-ion coordination, another is the hydrophobic interaction, third one is the disulfide bridge formation, fourth is the hydrogen bonding, and fifth is the electrostatic attraction between ions. In this diagram, two alpha globin molecules and two beta globin molecules have been shown. They have slightly different structures from each other. They aggregate together forming alpha to beta to hemoglobin. Each has a heme pocket into which the heme or the complex nitrogenous nucleus, heme nucleus made of 4 porphyrin rings, become attached. This is the slight difference in the structure of alpha chain of hemoglobin and beta chain of hemoglobin. These two forms of hemoglobins are almost identical in the amino acid sequence. The alpha chain has 141 amino acids, but the beta chain has 146 amino acids. Now see the quaternary structure. It is in fact a group of polypeptides, similar or dissimilar, and each has its own tertiary structure. When a single polypeptide cannot carry a complex reaction and its various steps are performed by different polypeptides, all such molecules come together and form quaternary structure. These individual polypeptides are known as protein subunits. Take some examples. Alcohol dehydrogenase and malate dehydrogenase are made of two protein subunits. Lactate dehydrogenase has 4 subunits. Similarly, acid phosphatase, esterase, as well as hemoglobin have 4 protein subunits. RNA polymerase has 2 parts. One is the core enzyme made of 5 subunits. When a sigma factor is attached, it becomes hollow enzyme that has 6 subunits. DNA polymerase 3 has 7 subunits. So, the increase in the number of polypeptides so that their function is more complex than a simple enzyme made of single polypeptide such as pepsin, trypsin or chymotrypsin. Sometimes a quaternary structure is formed. It is higher and more complex structure of protein, such as when it forms the microtubules, microfilaments, and muscle fibers, etc. Now come to see how the proteins have been classified. It is very difficult to classify a protein because these are present in nature uncountable. Every species has thousands of polypeptides. Some are common to their group characters and some are individual characters. Even two brothers and sisters have no 100% alike arrangement of protein. When West and Todd was writing biochemistry, one of the most earlier and thick textbook on biochemistry, he was suggested by the friends to make a working classification for the common proteins found in our food, blood plasma, etc. And therefore, he simplified some of the proteins in terms of their structures, solubility, and simple reactions. These are broadly simple proteins, scleroproteins, and conjugated proteins. A simple protein is pure protein made of only the amino acids, nothing else. These have been classified mainly on the basis of solubility. Water-soluble proteins. Some of the water-soluble proteins are albumins. These are soluble in water and can be precipitated by treatment of acids and alkali. These proteins coagulate on heating. Egg white ovalbumin, blood serum albumin, wheat albumin or gliadin, pulse protein or legumin, and milk protein, that is lactalbumin, are such proteins. Pseudoglobulin. These are water soluble and can be precipitated by treatment of acidic salts. These are rare in nature. The common example is milk whey. Protamine. These are basic proteins and soluble in saline water. These can be crystallized by hydrochloric acid. The nucleoproteins of sperms contain protamine. Histone. These are the most common basic proteins found in chromosomes of all eukaryotes. These are insoluble in ammonium hydroxide. 5 types of histones have been identified. These are named as H1, H2A, H2B, H3 and H4. H2A has more arginine than lysine, but H2B has more lysine than arginine. There are some water insoluble proteins but are soluble in other solvents. Some of them are glutellins. These are insoluble in neutral salts but soluble readily in the dilute acids and alkalis. These are abundantly found in most grains. Prolamins. These are soluble in dilute alkalis and 60 to 70% alcohol. These are found only in plants such as gliadin of wheat, zein of maize, hordein of barley, etc. Globulins are readily soluble in neutral salts and hot water. Vitelin of egg yolk, fibrinogen of blood plasma, myogen and myosinogen of muscles, ligulin of pulse, tuberin of potato, and edestin of wheat are globulins. Now come to the scleroproteins. These are commonly known as fibrous proteins. These are insoluble in most of the common solvents without breakage. Some of them are keratin, beta pleated sheet of hairs, feathers, horns, hooves and nails, etc. Collagen fibers. These are white fibers of connective tissues and pillar cells of gills of fishes. Elastin. It is yellow elastic fibers of connective tissue, forms ligaments and the blood vessels. These are most resistant in nature, and so the vessels are still most preserved part of the mummies. Fibroin is found in silk. These are made of anti-parallel pleated sheets of protein fibers. Among all the scleroprotein, elastin is the most resistant, and I have said that it survives still in some of the mummies. Now the third group is conjugated protein. When a protein becomes bound to non-protein substances, a conjugated protein is formed. This non-protein substance, when becomes bound covalently, it is called prosthetic group. In our body, there are large number of such proteins, and the groups associated to them help in biological activity. Some of the common examples are chromoproteins. These proteins produce colors due to prosthetic group. Hemoglobin contains iron. Cytochromes contain iron or copper. Flavoproteins contain flavin and ferrous sulfate. These are chromoproteins. The glycoproteins contain carbohydrate, mostly oligosaccharides, mucin of saliva, heparin of bile, and mast cells, immunoglobulins of blood plasma, etc. are such proteins. Mucoproteins contain more carbohydrate than the glycoprotein. They form the mucus coat over epithelium of alimentary canal, respiratory tract, female genital tract, as well as the body surface of fishes and amphibians, etc. The nucleoproteins are the histone or protamine associated with DNA. When they bind to DNA, they form chromosomes. Lipoproteins of brain, blood plasma, eggs, etc. contain a small amount of lipids associated with the polypeptides. Flavoproteins contain FAD or FMN, flavin adenine dinucleotide or flavin mononucleotide associated with proteins form flavoproteins. The metalloproteins are metal containing proteins, normally iron, zinc, copper, calcium and magnesium can become associated with protein molecule. Most of the metals become attached to the histidine moiety of the polypeptide chain. The fourth group is derived or metaprotein. These are in fact denatured form of proteins that cannot be renatured. The proteins after coagulation, precipitation, hydrolysis, etc. are called metaproteins. As a matter of fact, there are billions of proteins and no two individuals except the identical twins and the clones can have all the proteins similar. So the study of protein is an unending chapter. Now, the last point is how protein is detected. The most common test is biuret method. 1 milliliter of dilute solution of protein 0.1 milligram per 100 ml is mixed with 1 ml 0.5% copper sulfate solution. Copper sulfate has bright blue color. The mixture is made gradually alkaline by mixing ammonium hydroxide solution. The bright blue color becomes deeper, it becomes blackish. This method is applicable to any chain with more than 10 amino acids. The albumin is easier to detect when in its dilute solution a drop of nitric acid is mixed, a white yellowish precipitate is formed. When it is heated, the color turns deep red. In place of nitric acid, picric acid that has yellow color also can be used, but these tests are not for all the proteins. For quantitative estimation of the protein in laboratory, Folins phenol reagent or the Folin CO-caltuge reagent (FC reagent) is used as suggested by Lowry et al. In 1951. So now you know many things about the protein. In the next session we shall discuss enzymes and their structures. Thank you very much.